All right. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Introduction to Microsoft Teams. What I'm going to do today is provide a high-level overview of the application and features that are commonly used throughout the workday. The format of this webinar is going to be a combination of discussion and live demonstration. If you have Teams and it's installed, go ahead and open up your application and follow along so you can practice manipulating the settings and using the features as I go through the training. One thing to note, I'm likely going to use MS Teams and just Teams by itself interchangeably. So just please keep in mind that I am referring to the same application, and that is Microsoft Teams. Secondly, we're going to strive to keep things focused on kind of a very high level overview. The goal is to provide a tutorial of basic functionality. As I may have mentioned previously, with questions, we have built-in stopping points. If you have a question, go ahead and type it in the chat. I'll field it when we get to those points. If we are midway in discussion and it seems like it's a good time to go ahead and grab that question, then I'll grab it at that time. So getting into our objectives, after this meeting, my goal is to have you be able to set up your profile and notifications, use the chat and calling features for one-on-one and group conversations, make calls to internal and external stakeholders, share and collaborate amongst your team, schedule and conduct meetings, and utilize the command bar options. So we got a lot of stuff to cover today. So take a moment to think about all the things you do in a typical workday. On any given day, we are chatting and collaborating with different people using platforms that don't necessarily talk to each other. And this has been multiplied exponentially due to the fact that a lot of us are working remotely, right? Before we used to be able to go to somebody's cubicle and sit and chat with them. Now, if we want to have a quick conversation, we still have the phone, but we also have the ability to use the instant messaging features. A couple of our daily activities and their mechanisms that you may have used in the past or maybe currently still using are chatting, which an example for that is Skype for Business, emailing, Outlook is our primary tool for that, attending meetings, we have conference rooms, we have Zoom, you may have heard of Blue Jeans, we're in the meeting right now in WebEx, and then also we're going to talk about Microsoft Teams here. Listening to recorded meetings, right? You have YouTube, we have the learning management system that Solid's using, Cornerstone. All of these things are done in a variety of places using a variety of tools. The benefit of Microsoft Teams is that they have endeavored to create a one-stop shop where you can accomplish all of your collaborative activities in one place. Additionally, Teams allows you to not just share content, but to store it, access it, and to collaborate and co-author it at the same time, all in one platform. So it's pretty unique with regard to being a workspace within a workspace, really, is what it comes down to. Teams also offers a unique way to manage people and processes and people in work groups in a unique space. Lastly, another thing Teams allows us to do is to integrate other business applications such as SharePoint. And being that it is a Microsoft application, it works in conjunction with Excel, PowerPoint, Word, all of those applications work within Teams. It's really cool. So today I'm going to guide us through an introductory overview, beginning with your profile setup and following the tabs you'll find on the left side of your Microsoft Teams screen. And if you don't have Teams up, these are the tabs that you'll find on there. I do encourage you again to open up that Teams application, follow along as I point things out so you can get some hands-on practice while we're here live. Real quick, if you need to log into Microsoft Teams, use the credentials you use to access your work PC. Okay? These are also the same credentials you'll use to log on if you're using a mobile device such as an iPhone, an iPad, or any tablet really, your external laptop that you also use, and then it also works for Android. So you're going to use your standard, your email, your DCA email, and your password that you would use to log into your PC, because all of these are kind of integrated into one. So everyone should have a baseline profile set up since we're all part of DCA. However, if you do not, to make edits, first you'll click on the initials found at the top right of the Teams window. That's right here. all of your profiles should have your initials. If you have somebody else's initials, contact OIS and make sure they get you squared away. Before we get into managing your account, you'll notice that you can set a status here. And if you guys have been using, chat things for a while now, you might, remember back in the days of the AOL Instant Messenger. That's kind of where I cut my teeth on chatting stuff on the computer. And I recall that setting a status was like the thing to do back when I was in school, before like MySpace and Facebook really took off. It was AOL Instant Messenger. When you were in class, you changed your status. I mean, we're talking like 2004, 2008 here. And you'd be like, hey, I'm in class today. And then you were cool. Or how are you feeling? Right. And from there, if you recall, all of our other social media status updates evolved. And that's, as they say, it's history today. To manage your account, you'll go ahead and click on that manage account button. And I'm going to demo this for you guys so you can see, but this is just a quick kind of, showcase of it before we get into the actual like hands-on part. The first tab I'm going to talk about is the activity tab. That's the very first one on the top left. When you get into Teams, it's very straightforward. It literally just shows you all of the call activity involving you that has occurred. That's it. It's kind of like if you look on your phone and you check on your calls tab and it shows you all the missed calls and calls that you made. That's exactly what the activity icon looks like. And it's great because now that we're using the soft phone feature, it's like a log of everything that you've been doing as far as calls go. Before I get a little bit deeper into it, one thing to keep in mind is that with Teams, a meeting and a call are the exact same thing. It's the same feature. It works the same way. I would say the only difference may be that your meeting might involve more than one person, but the way the platform works and the program's going to initiate that is exactly the same. So calls and meetings are interchangeable when we're talking about Microsoft Teams. Essentially, you could say, I'm going to call my coworker into a meeting. So with that, connecting and collaborating with Microsoft Teams, okay? Let's take a look at chatting. Teams allows you to easily do one-on-one chats and group chats. The biggest thing that I will throw out there for you to remember and take away as far as chats go is that they never, ever go away. Okay, the chats never go away. And that's good because it allows you to easily find past conversations or files that you may have shared within that chat. But you have to also bear in mind that this being a work environment and a workspace tool, we got to make sure that everything we're discussing is work appropriate because it's never going to leave. That's just to make sure we have all of our P's and Q's in order. You can use rich text formatting, add graphics and GIFs. There's also emojis and stickers. So, you can keep your conversations. You can add some fun to it. We are at work, but it's okay to have a little smidge of fun. Again, just keeping it work appropriate. You can use the at mentions to call attention to a specific contact chatting, especially if you're also posting, and I'll discuss that in a moment as well. That's a really cool feature. If you are familiar with social media like Facebook, Instagram, and you want a specific person you want to grab a specific person's attention when you're posting a message or anything, it works the exact same way here. You'll use the at and then you go ahead and type in their name. It'll autofill it for you, and then that person will receive a notification letting them know that they've been mentioned, and they can come view it. The other neat thing about the one-on-one chats and also the team chats is you can attach files directly in there. So it's a great way to share files with your colleagues. Teams as a whole is a great way to share files, but you can do it quickly by attaching things to a chat. And it might be a step faster than using Outlook. So with this, the goal is not to replace anything per se. It's just simply to expand your toolkit so that you have more options as far as completing your task, getting your work done today. So with that being said, let's see Teams in action. I'm going to pull up my Teams here. This is mine. I am on let's start with the activity tab. Before we get into it, I'm going to do a quick navigational kind of overview. So up top here, this is the toolbar. And you can search here. You can search for anything. You can search files. You can search for contacts. This is a great way if you need to call somebody within DCA. Just type in their first and last name. They'll pop up here. The left rail is right here. This has all the tabs that we're going to talk about today. You might not have all of these options displaying, or you might not have it turned on. If you don't, reach out to OIS to get access to it. And then you have the left pane here, which is kind of like where your chats are housed. Like if I click on the chat tab, this is where all my chats are. And again, like I said, they go back to forever ago. And if I search for anyone, their original chat's going to pop up too. And then you have like your staging area, and that's the middle here. If you guys can see my cursor, and that's kind of where all the action happens. And I'm just going to briefly go through these tabs just so you can get like a quick sight of it. The teams is kind of where you see your posts and everything. We'll discuss that in depth. Calendar, again, you know, the staging area, your calls, and then any files that you may have as well. So we'll shoot back up to activity tab. That's the first one. Font size is very small and difficult to read. How to increase it to your size. So you may have to adjust your monitor settings and decrease the I can't think of the word, but you know how fine it is. Or you might have to zoom, and sometimes you can zoom by holding control and scrolling the mouse key up or the mouse wheel up, and that'll give you a zoom into your screen. Okay, so we're going to get into our account here. Again, we're going to come over here. It should say Department of Consumer Affairs in your initials. Are you able to see the font okay in the training? Or are you just looking at your own teams and it's difficult to see? And we may find that in settings. So I'm going to go over in a second. Let's check that. So bring this up here. Got it. Okay, that might be in the setting. I'm going to see if I can find that for you. So go ahead and select your initials. We'll come down to manage account, which will bring up these tabs here, right? We have our general settings. Click on general settings, and this is kind of where you can start modifying things. If you like a dark background, you can select dark or high contrast, which is a dark background with very, very bright feature, so it kind of pops at you. The default is the light background. Sometimes you may find that when you get a new application, it'll start with dark. And if that bothers you, just come on over here into the general tab, change it back to default. A couple of things you can choose as far as the application goes is, you know, auto start if you want to open in the background. If you, when you close it out, you want to keep it running. I would recommend having at least these two, the auto start and then the registered teams as the chat app for Office. That just means that anytime you want to do a chat, it's going to default to Teams, just in case you have other things enabled on your computer. Your default language. Go ahead and throw on that spell check. It's really nice since it is a Microsoft application. It has the same kind of spelling features that Word does. So if you spell a word wrong, it'll let you know so that you can correct it. We'll talk about delegation in a second. This is where you can determine if you want to have somebody else make or receive calls on your behalf. It's a good feature for management, or if you're going to be out of office for a time. And then your display. And then also you can actually set your out of office auto replies from Teams, which is really cool. And I'm going to get into that when I get into like the email portion, how it connects to Outlook. But it's really cool because all of these are Microsoft applications. They all work together with each other. So taking a look at accounts, the accounts is pretty straightforward. We don't have to do anything in this. If we try to manage it, there's not much we can do. What it'll do is it'll pop up another screen that is on the internet, and it'll give you kind of a more in-depth overview of the different options. So it's almost pretty much the same. So like right here, this is the pop-up that happened. I'll go ahead and click mine. So take me in there. I'm already signed in because I'm all connected. And then this is your account here. Okay. Now, we can't edit any of this stuff right here because it's done for us by DCA. And this is all the other things. Okay. Privacy settings. If you need to install any other Office apps, but of course, you're going to have to go through OIS for that. And then if you have other devices connected to your Teams, you can turn them on or off here. That out the way. So again, it's privacy really quick. Priority access, you can have your shortcuts, read receipts. These are nice to let you know when people have seen your messages and let people know when you've seen theirs. It kind of works both ways, I believe. If you turn it off, then you can't see if people read yours and it won't show you if you read theirs. So have all those on. Make sure you keep this off because since we're going to be we're using the soft phone now, public can call in and sometimes they don't have an ID. So you don't want to blocking calls because we're a civil service agency and we're public facing. So we want to make sure that everyone has access to us. Here, notifications. Okay, these are notifications. I like to turn this off because this makes sure that your inbox, your email inbox, is not inundated with a bunch of emails that just say, hey, you missed a call, right? We have teams that's going to tell us anyway. So for me, I turn it off. If you like to be in your email more than in Teams, then go ahead and leave it on and it'll let you know anything that's going on in Teams. Okay, you can adjust your notifications here, Teams and channels. Right here, your devices. Okay, this is a great setting. This is making sure that whatever you're using to speak and or hear, that Teams is synced with it so that when you go into a meeting, you can actually hear and talk with your coworkers. I love this feature. It automatically adjusts mic sensitivity. It kind of flows in and out as you get louder and or softer. That way, you're not blowing people's eardrums out if you actually get excited and speak a little louder than your normal tone. Noise suppression. This is a great feature as well. It's automatically on by default, and what that does is it kind of filters out background noise to capture your voice. Okay, camera controls in there as well. Sorry about that. Let me bring my Teams back up for you guys. So add permissions. You don't have to worry about any of this. Make sure you have your camera and your microphone on. Everything else we don't need. Captions and transcripts. This is a cool feature. When you're recording meetings, if you're participating in the Teams meeting and you're speaking up, if they have closed captions on, it'll automatically identify who's speaking. And that's just a testament to how far technology has come today. And, usually we do have to have somebody transcribing that, but now it's kind of taken care of automatically. But have that on, so just in case you're in like a public facing meeting and it is closed captioned, if you do speak up to the mic, it'll go ahead and identify you as a speaker. And then the final setting is the calls tab. Okay. And in here, this is just basic calls, basic settings for when you're receiving a call, right? You want to have your calls call you, don't forward them. If you're working in like what are those things? A call center type setting, and it's applicable, you can actually set this up so that, when a call comes into you, it goes to multiple people as well. So let's say you're taking a ton of calls every day, then you can kind of work it as a team. It says when somebody calls, everybody gets called. And that way we can ensure that the customer receives, service. This is also great if you kind of work in that type of setting, but you're going to be out of office. Let's say you're here at a training. So when someone calls you, you work with your tag team partner and you say, hey, I'm not going to be at my desk for a while. So any calls that come into me are going to come into you too, so that we make sure that everyone gets their service appropriately. And then also, you have your voicemail. Now, one thing I would recommend you guys set is at least this 20 seconds as a default for the ringer. I had mine set to 10 seconds previously because I thought that 10 seconds is a really long time for the phone to be ringing. And what happened was I would never be able to get to my phone in time because it was ringing on my phone as well as on my computer, which kind of confused me a little bit. But by the time I got to my computer to hit the answer button, then it was already in voicemail. So set it to 20 seconds. That's more time for you to get to the phone and answer it. And then here's where you're going to configure voicemail. I'm going to come back to this when we get to the call section, okay, and show you guys how to actually do all of that. Right? So those are the basic settings. For that, I'm going to talk about chatting real quick. So to check out your chat stuff, again, you're going to click chat on the left-hand side. And this brings up your chat history. Again, like I said, chats don't go away. This can be very overwhelming to see all this because not only does it keep all the chats that you've been engaging in one-on-ones, it also keeps all of the meeting, any conversations that have gone on in the meetings, because while you're in a meeting, there's also a chat feature within the meeting, just in case you don't have a microphone, and it keeps all of those. So if it's a little much for you, you can always hit this button here and kind of close it out. I would encourage you to pin your important chats. This one is my whole team. They're all in one chat, and I have it pinned so that when we talk to each other in there, I can get to it quickly. Otherwise, as you can see, I've got my colleague Antoine's chat up. We chat a lot. We use emojis, all those things I was telling you about. You know, in it, you're going to come down here to the bottom and start typing a new message. If you want to use rich text, you can start using these features down here. Okay, so you pop up, hit this little A, this will bring up the rich text, which allows you to do like the centering, the bullet numbers. You're talking about your bold, your italicized, your underscoring. You change your font size, right? All of these things you can do within the chat. If you have the second one is if you want your message to be sent as important or urgent. Okay, so if you mark it as important, it gives them a little notification that says, hey, this is important. If you mark it as urgent, Teams is going to send them like a notification, like a buzz, if you will, every 2 minutes for 20 minutes. Now, if you feel like you need to use that, I would recommend going ahead and just making a phone call, because usually the phone call is going to get that person's attention a little bit better than a chat. You can attach files directly to your chats. Okay, you can upload it from your computer, or if you have them stored online on OneDrive, you can do that. This is the good old emoji button. Okay, there's a ton of them that you can use. This is just one tab of here, but as you can see, you can actually really get in there and, you know, have a little bit of customization with it. Also have little GIFs here. This is nice. Like the cool thing about this is that when you have like a group chat within your teams, like uh, like I said, for my example, our entire group, this kind of allows you a little bit of a personality to it. Okay? So if you simply want to send a good morning to everybody on your team, drop that in the group chat, and you know it's fun, it's collaborative, and it's team building. And then we have the stickers here, and the stickers are pretty much like GIFs and emojis, except the one cool thing you can do with stickers is that you actually can edit them. And then you can send that to place as well. Okay. So chatting is pretty neat. Now, to chat with anybody, you need simply just look them up here. And we're all in here by name. So I'm going to pick on somebody from the group, and let's look up. Well, make sure I got the right one. There you are. And if I want to send you a chat, I can send you a chat just like that. It's super simple. If you don't want to send it, then just don't type anything and that draft goes away. So just click on somebody else and then click on and then the draft that was going to know about goes away. Okay. Now, one thing I would say with using chat in general, just as a little bit of chat etiquette, it's actually really nice to have that initial message that you send to somebody, you know, like hello, ask them if they're available to chat real quick. Okay, because we're not always available to be, you know, instant messaging while we're doing everything. So what I like to do is I'll hit somebody up and I'll say good afternoon or good morning, and I'll say, hey, do you have a couple of minutes to chat? And they're like, yeah, we're here on Teams. And I'm like, cool. And then we bang away at the keyboard and we do our thing. So that's chat in a nutshell. This is one of the you're going to be in here a lot, I imagine. A couple of other cool features that you can do with chatting is, let's say, for example, I'm going to find Antoine again. I lost him. So what I'll do is I'll just search for him. There he is right there. Pull them up, and it pulls up our chat history automatically. What you can do while you're in chatting, let's say we're talking back and forth about something that's super serious and we've just been talking for a while, I can come up here and hit this call button and just change this into a call. Just super simple, boom, like that. And if I want to put my camera on, I can change it to a video call. And that's how seamless Teams is. Go from chatting to call. Same thing with my group chat. I'm in my group chat here. I'm like, I'm going to call everybody to a meeting. Boom, call it. It'll call everybody in this chat. And then now we're in a meeting. Drop this down. And let's talk about some questions. And I've got some in the chat here. So if you don't have a calls tab, let me pull mine back up. Check this ellipsis, and see. Oh no, that's just apps. If you don't have a calls tab, then definitely link up with OIS and make sure that you have been fully updated to have that feature, because most of us should be on the soft phone. To adjust the background screen when you're in a meeting. Okay, so that's a little bit more intricate. I'm gonna see if I can do that. But basically what you'll do is there's some options when you're within a meeting in Teams. And what happens is, you know what, here, I'm gonna demo this for you guys. It's cool. So I am going to see if I can meet with myself here. See me? Okay, can't do that. But what I will do is this. Give me a hot second. Okay. So here I am. Mute that. So just do echo. I'm in a meeting. Mute that one. Now to change my background settings, if I did have my camera on, it would be under more actions. And if you look right here, it's apply background effects. So there's an ellipsis here and then apply background effects. And that's how you turn it on. And if you look, these are the options that you have. A couple of DCA ones, a couple of default ones for Teams. And then when you turn on your video, they'll be there. Okay, let me get out of that meeting, come back to our meeting here. You had the question about adjusting your font size. Let me see if I can actually find that in Teams here to make it bigger. Count. So then let me come back here. Three dots next to my initials. Let's see what that does. Oh, nice. Okay, so it's a zoom setting. So if I'm zoomed out 85% or less, then I'm super small. I want to make sure that you're at least at 100%. And if you are zoomed out, there's a button here that resets it. See, I love when you guys are here. We're all learning together. Excellent. And if you need to zoom in more, then go ahead and hit that plus and set it to however you need it. Okay. Any other questions for me for this section talking about chat and activity? Okay. And let's talk about running your businesses. And by business, we're just talking about things that we do at work every day. So Teams allows you to create robust workspaces to organize group projects and update team members. All your projects can be housed in one place. Processes can be streamlined because we're just using one application. And then also you have the inclusivity that can be fostered by using this platform to be able to engage everyone at the same time. And just a quick example of that was, like I said, that full team chat that I showed you guys. Okay. To do this, what you'll do is you'll click on the Teams tab to view units and teams. If you don't have anything there, it's because your unit doesn't have a team set up. Let me explain a little bit more before we get into that. Teams and channels. A team lays out who and channels organize the what. Okay, the team is the who, the channels are the what. The team can be public or private. Owners manage the settings and access. The members manage personal workspace, and then mention hide or leave. Now your channels can also be public or private. Okay, you can use private channels to limit access to specific people, which allows you to then streamline threaded conversations, shared files, things of that nature, and then also keep things a little bit exclusive to members as opposed to letting everybody see it. Another way to look at teams and channels, a team in itself is it's kind of like a house, gathering place for everybody who's going to be a part of that group. And the channels that are within it are like the rooms inside the house. Okay, so you have people who are responsible for cooking, they'll be in the kitchen channel. People who need to sleep will be in the bed channel. And then people who are maintaining the yard will be in the yard channel. Okay, so each room in your house, which is your team, is otherwise known as a channel. The other way to look at it too is if your team can be like your branch. Talking about how our workplace is stratified. You have your branch, and then each channel can be a unit. And this is actually how Solids is set up. So Solid is a branch that's comprised of two teams. We have the Solid training team, and then we have the Solid planning team. And within our Microsoft Teams team, I'm going to say that word so many times, so just bear with me here. We have our general channel, which is everybody, right? It's, whatever the solid happenings. And then we also have a specific training channel and a specific planning channel. And look, another perspective to look at it, we could look at it from the perspective of project management. You can consider the team to be the unit or work group, and then each channel can represent an individual project. Okay. So the big thing, the meetings, right? With a lot of us working remotely, Teams has allowed us to stay connected, even though we're no longer in the office. So gone are the days of trying to snag a conference room and get everybody in there and compete with everyone else who's in the same building. Now your conference room is mobile, and you can have your meeting. You can still have a group meeting from your individual desks because everyone can link up on Microsoft Teams. Pretty cool. If you have Teams as a mobile device, you can still be in a meeting even if you are in transit. Let's say, for example, you're coming back to the office from another field office and there's an important meeting. As long as you're using your hands-free devices and being legal and everything, you could still be a part of that meeting by logging into it from your mobile device while you're on the road. Pretty sweet. So let's talk about this. Let's see this in action. Pull my team back up again for you guys. Here we are. So this is Teams. This is the Teams tab, okay? And as you can see, it has my team. I only got one right now. It's DCA Solid, okay? If you had a bunch of teams, you'd have they'll all be listed down here. You can hide them or show them as visible. Now, looking within my teams, there's multiple channels, okay? So mentorship program channel, we got the plannings channel, we got training channel, and then during the midst of the pandemic, we started this the Stay Positive channel, and this is where we just went in there, and people did excellent things like wish me happy birthday, and just have just an overall like positive vibe. Now, where if you want, you can always pin things that showcase where you are the most. So course, I'm a solid trainer, so I have my solid team pinned up at the top. So if all else fails and I have this hidden, I come in here, I can always get to my channel quickly because it's at the very top. And as you can see, we have a ton of meetings. Okay. Now, a couple things to note. You can like join or create a team, but those are handled by admins that have higher permissions. Like I said, if you don't have any of these teams in here yet, if you don't have any teams in your teams tab, it's because your particular unit hasn't created one. Give me a hot second here. Bring that back up. Contact OIS to determine who in your unit or within your department has access to create teams. Okay. Typically, you'll have 2 admins assigned to your unit, if you will, and they'll be able to create new channels for you within your team. Okay. So each team that's created, OIS creates teams, the admins create channels. Each team that's created will come with a general channel, and then your Microsoft Teams admins can add new channels to that. There is something I want to show you guys down here at the very bottom is a help button. Click that if you need assistance finding a feature or learning how to use something. Pop up a help screen. Got topics, got training on it, and you got what's new. So this is a great way to keep up on new features that come in Teams. And if you are super innovative and you got a great idea, you can go ahead and suggest a feature and perhaps they'll add it to you. So the next tab I want to talk to you guys about. Oh, you know what? Before we slide into that one, I just want to show you guys that within your Teams channels, you have your posts, right? And this kind of looks akin to Facebook if you've ever used that app before. And it's just, whatever somebody puts in, and it just keeps it going forever. Then we also have our files tab, right? And this is files that have been uploaded. I'm going to show you our general channel because that's where the bulk of our files are housed. So right there shows all your files. And then so we have our posts in the general, and then we also have our files as well. And then the cool thing is that if you're looking at like your channels individually, then the files kind of change a little bit because they're specific to where you uploaded them. Okay, so this is just solid training. I've got little folders in here, and then there's some files in there as well for us. Meeting notes, if you're taking any meeting notes, they'll be stored here as well. We haven't used this feature, but you can. And keep it there. So like I said, Teams is all cloud-based, and it's a great place to toss everything up, especially if you need to be able to grab it quickly. And for the collaborative effort on there as well. Because the neat thing about Teams is that if I open one of these files here, like this, everybody on my team can edit this file at the same time. So you can literally, it's like the same thing as being on at a work group and using a piece of butcher board or something. Everyone can edit. And what'll happen is you'll see each individual team member's cursor in here with their initials on it. And changes happen in real time and they save automatically. So it's just really cool when it comes to collaboration, what you can do within the Teams application. So the calendar, take a look at the calendar tab, and this is my real life calendar. Teams syncs with your Outlook calendar. So everything that's on there, like our introduction to Teams meeting uh, training that we're in today, is uploaded, or it's all merged together. So it's pretty cool. And then again, you can schedule new meetings right here, or if you have something you want to meet right now, you can select here, and then schedule your meeting. And then looking at Outlook, you can also schedule meetings from within Outlook, and you can make it a Teams meeting, which makes everything like nice and neat. It just really makes these things super seamless. And I'll show you guys that. Let me pull up my Outlook real quick. Slide this over here. Super cool thing right here. Boom, Teams meeting up at the top here, and you can set a new Teams meeting. Let's just say right here, I'm gonna do, a meeting, and it makes it a Teams meeting. I invite whoever I want to invite there, and then it automatically gives them a link. You don't have to do anything else. Super nice for when you want to set up like a call thing. There's just multiple ways to do it. Okay. So another thing to notice with regard to the calendar and everything, if you pop back up here, I'm just gonna go to the activity tab so it highlights. If you look back up at my initials, my status matches what's happening in my calendar. Okay, I'm in a meeting because I'm here in this training, and it changes automatically. So it's helpful because it lets people know when they pull you up, or if you're just looking like if you check Antoine here at the very top, even though this is just a call log, it shows his current status because he's in this meeting. So it's really nice to be able to see what your colleagues, their availability in real time, regardless of what's going on. And it's all synced together in one place. So just like I said, super cool feature of Microsoft Teams. So let's talk about questions. What do you have for me regarding the channels and the teams and also the calendar? Okay, guys feeling pretty good? Drop me a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to move on to the next piece, because you might be ruminating over something and thinking about a question, and I don't want to leave you hanging. Okay, here we go. So this is the kind of like the main component that we want to talk about, the calls, right? I've been saying it this entire time that we've been talking about Microsoft Teams, but we meaning us as a department, DCA, we've migrated over to the use of what they call a soft phone, and that just basically means you're making calls from your computer. Two things to keep it in note. While the bulk of us will be using our actual laptop or desktop PC to make calls now using the Microsoft Teams application, you can still use your cell phone to make calls through Teams. And you get to hold it up next to your head or put it on speakerphone, and it works the same way as if you were using, your standard calling service. It's just that it's going through Microsoft Teams. So you can search and directly call your favorite contacts in the directory, right? You can look at your calling history, and then you also have access to voicemail and transcripts. And that is, I would say, one of the nicest features of having a soft phone is that you don't have to worry about calls that you miss, because with it, you get voicemails in multiple formats. And that was kind of the hard part for us when we moved to remote work, is that can't really help people who are calling our phones. Hopefully they maybe do 2 or 3 calls and send us an email so that we know it's happening. Otherwise, we gotta dash to the office every other day and take a log of all the calls and come back and try to make the calls. And obviously with the safety features that have been implemented, that adds a level of difficulty and complexity to doing that. Now we have the ability to just check the voicemail right from our computer. We don't have to go anywhere. We're actually just bringing our work with us. So we're going to jump right into a demo here. Let's see this phone thing in action. Now, I recall some of you said that you didn't have a calls tab. It's right here under calendar. If you don't, definitely please contact OIS to get that set up for you. This is your soft phone. Okay. First things first, your brand new work number is located right here underneath the keypad. Okay? And it's always going to be there. I would recommend that you go ahead and grab it, put it in your signature now for your email so that everyone who gets emails from you knows what your new number is. But it's right here. Anytime you need to access it, it'll never go away. So don't fear if you don't have it memorized or if you lose it. All you got to do is click that calls tab and it's going to be right there for you. Now, below all of this, Teams will display the feature that will be used for phone functions. Okay, so that's way down here. In this example, it's displaying my headset. Okay, right there. That's what I'm using for audio to come in and also for my microphone to go out whenever I make a call. You can configure this in your device settings by clicking the drop-down menu and selecting the cog. Boom, device settings right there. Pull that up and then recall we showed this in the original setup, right, when we were managing our account, and it brings you right back into here under devices. Okay, test call to make sure that everything is functioning as it should be. Right above that is the call forwarding. You should have it set on don't forward, right? With what's that saying? With great power comes great responsibility, right? And we have the power to just not take calls. We can just say, hey, you know what? Send it to voicemail. We don't want to do that. We're here at work today. So make sure your setting is set to don't forward. So that the call comes to you and your devices and you can take it. Okay. You can also modify this by just checkbox and send it to voicemail. So like if you're super duper busy and you know you're going to be out for a while, you can go ahead and check this forward to voicemail. That way the call comes in and it'll automatically send them to voicemail. And then there's more settings that you can configure if you select the cog again, and it brings you back to this tab here in the general settings. Okay. And then you can get really specific. So if you're forwarding your calls, right, you can forward to it or you can forward to a new number or a call group. While we're in here, this is where you configure your voicemail. Okay. You get to record a greeting. So, and then you get to determine how you want Teams to handle their calls when they go to voicemail. So I have mine set to let the caller record a message because that's what makes most sense to me. You have let the caller record a message or be transferred. You have end the call without playing your greeting. I don't see a lot of application for this because basically it's just saying they're going to call, it's going to ring, and then it's just going to dead on somebody. And then you have the play your greeting and end the call. This could be applicable if you are out of office and you have a specific out of office greeting. You're like, hey, this is Kenneth. In the Cayman Islands right now for the next 2 weeks. So please call 916 DCA rules. And then it just ends. They don't need to leave me a voicemail because I'm never going to get the call again. And then also transfer the call to someone else. Okay. But for me here, I'm using let the caller record a message. So that works out. The greeting language should be in English. And then you can also replace the default voicemail greeting with your own greeting that you type in and it'll do a text to speech. Now, I haven't tested this to see if the voice sounds super robotic. I don't think I recorded mine just yet, but that's what I'm going to do for mine. And then if you have an out of office, right, then you go ahead and click that box. For when you have Outlook auto reply. So this is a great setting if you have to, if you're sending auto replies because you know you're going to be out, then go ahead and have this enabled too. That way, whenever you have an auto reply, it'll automatically do your out of office greeting on your phone as well. Okay. So those are just some settings as far as that goes. To make a call, a couple ways you can do it. You can put a bunch of people on your speed dial list. I don't have anybody on my speed dial list or my other contacts list because everyone is everyone. Again, simply, I can just look somebody up. I'm going to look up Lisa, supervisor. She'll pop up, and then I can just hit this call button, and that'll call her. Another thing you can do is you can start typing their name over here, right? So I'm gonna type Lisa over here again, and I'll put her up right there, and then I can just call her right here. Hit this call button, okay? And then we still have the throwback methodology, and this is what you're probably going to use for if you're calling external stakeholders like customers or other agencies. You're going to go ahead and punch in these numbers. Now, if you like to work the mouse and you want to punch them in using that, it's a couple of clicks, go ahead, but you can also just type it in using your keypad right here up at the top. So again, with Teams, they allow so many different ways to do the same thing. Okay. Your parked calls button, this shows your calls that you have parked and or basically put on hold. If you have some that are in there, they'll be displayed underneath here. Make sure if you put somebody on hold, you come back and get them off of hold. Your call history is all displayed here. This is everything. So this is my call history kind of going back to when this was implemented. Now, one thing to notice, recall when I mentioned that all meetings are called and all calls then become meetings. When you call somebody on Teams, it brings up that exact same meeting screen that I showed you guys before when I was demonstrating the background effects. And within that call, you can then opt to turn it into a video call by simply turning your camera on. Okay. Can show my missed calls. This is good if you missed a call today. Only calls that were incoming, and then also voicemails you have. Now, voicemails are super cool. Definitely enjoy this. So if you're looking at a voicemail, a couple things you can do. You can just call a person back immediately. You can listen to the voicemail by hitting the play button down here, and it has a transcript of it. So you can just read the voicemail. And on top of all that, it sends you an email with the voicemail transcript in it. So like Microsoft really endeavored to make this as user-friendly as possible with regard to the phone feature, because I've never heard of anything that gives you this many options, right? So some things to keep in mind, um, audio recordings to speech are not always perfect. So if you see some misspellings or weird words that don't look like they fit, it's a great idea to go ahead and listen to the message so that you get a thorough understanding of what the person who called you left a voice message is saying. The other cool thing you can do is you can speed it up or you can slow it down. Okay, so if you have someone who talks super fast and they left you a voicemail, then slow it down so you can understand what they're saying. And if you need to cut to the chase, then go ahead and speed it up. Okay. Only use the speed up function if you got fast ears. Okay. So this is Teams in a nutshell, guys. Like I said, if you don't have this tab, contact OIS so you can get it and make sure they got you with the new number. One thing to note about the telephone numbers: most of us got a new number. Not all of us did. DCA was able to retain some of the old numbers for some of our more public facing lines, meaning that you interact with the public a whole lot and your call volume is heavy, and it would be very difficult to tell all of those hundreds of thousands of customers to save a new number. So they were able to keep that original number to keep things as seamless and user friendly as possible for our customers. Okay, so let's talk about some questions that we have with regard to calls. So meeting ID and password from calling through Teams, but accessing the meeting through Zoom, etc. I'm not sure if that's actually a feature. If you're getting into a meeting, if you're getting into a Teams meeting, 9 times out of 10, it's going to go through Teams. Now, either it's going to go through the Teams app when you're joining, or it's going to ask you if you want to join in a web browser. But either way, it's going to be Teams meeting. I haven't seen the capability to access a Teams meeting by using Zoom or another platform. And then the phone number associated with your Teams account, this is your work number. So this is your DCA number, and this is the one that's going to call into Teams. When somebody uses this number, it's going to call you on Teams. It may populate on your phone if you have the Teams app installed on your phone and connected to your DCA account. or it's going to only call you here on your computer. So you don't have a keypad there. It says my Teams does not have the option to dial by phone number, only by name. Okay, so yeah, it sounds like some of you don't have like the capabilities locked in. Please contact OIS, see if they can get you squared away, because they reign supreme over all of these technological things. That there's not much we can do from our side of it if it's not there, but all of us should have this look. So to read the dictation for the voicemail again, come on over to the voicemail, and at the very bottom here, there's a play button, and it'll play it for you. And it's actually like the voicemail, like the person who called just their voice. It's not gonna read it to you like a robot voice, generic voice or anything like that. Okay. Any other questions for me regarding the call? This is like the big thing, that the big change that we've had this year for us as a department. This is how we're going to be doing it. I personally, I like it. It's nice. Myself and my colleagues at Solid, we use it quite often, and usually it'll start with, "Hey, I send someone an email. I'm like, hey, I need help with this," and next thing you know, a Teams call's coming in. We're like, boom, we're there. Or vice versa. They're like, "Hey, Ken, do you know how to do this?" And I'm like, "Man, let me call you and show you." The beauty of using the call feature is that, yes, we are able to call multiple people. And secondly, since the call brings up that Teams meeting, you can then share your screen to help people out. So this is just invaluable for us at Solid when we're doing troubleshooting. Like, for if you guys have LMS issues, and we call you and we're like, "Hey, I'm here to troubleshoot your LMS for you," we'll call you on Teams, and then you can show us what you see, so that then we're able to then understand the actual problem and help you work through it vocally, instead of sending a bunch of back and forth instant messages or even emails, right? So so this keypad, if this isn't populated for you right now, then contact OIS and make sure that the application is installed is installed 100% correctly. How to add your work number to a Teams account. Your work number is automatically added. This is your work number. Like, I didn't have to do anything to this. Once the update was pushed out, my work number is already part of it. So if I call this number, it's going to come straight to me. If you have a different number for work than is shown here, like perhaps you're still using your original number, the best recommendation would be to contact OIS and make sure that your old number is actually still active, and then they'll be able to recommend what you should do going forward. But that number's already in there. And again, you can kind of see it too if you come to your profile. Right, I'm gonna pull up my profile again, go to manage account. If I go to manage here and bring this up, call, it brings up this screen. This is me, and this is my work number already installed. So with Teams creation, as with anything technological, with a large department, it's easy for things to get out of hand, and so it's easier for OIS to manage the big piece of it, which is the Teams creation, and then allow the admins to manage the smaller piece of it, which is the channels creation. And part of that is also due to the complexity of manipulating permissions, and also, people come and go. Like, the state's forever a revolving door. So, imagine if you had somebody that created a team, and then you have to wipe their computer and all that goes away, right? And then now got to figure out who else can create the team and go back and forth. And should that person be able to create the team, and why should they versus somebody else? And it's just a lot. So it's just much easier to have OIS go ahead and make the team for your unit. So if you don't have one, go ahead and have your supervisor contact OIS to make one if you feel that'd be a good feature for your group. And then they'll set up your admins, and the admins can add channels to that particular team. A fax number will be set up to receive fax. That I am not certain of. I want to say that this particular call feature is only is basically replacing your telephone. Now, if you have a fax machine, then you'd have that number indicated on your email signature as well. And then when they send a fax, that number, it would go straight to that number. But I don't think it would be appropriate for a fax to come into your Teams account. More questions regarding calls? Going back to calling multiple people. Let me see. I'm going to see if you can do it. I know that you can. The easiest way that I'll call multiple people is to call one and then start adding them to the call. That makes sense. And I'm gonna pull up another meeting to show you guys what that looks like. Hey, look at me. I have one on deck, right? So this is a meeting with me, right? This is essentially the same as if I would have called myself, except I just scheduled it in Outlook, and here I am. So now in here, participants, I can start adding people. Okay. So for example, let's find you. Boom, there's you. I can request you to join. It's going to call you. And I can call each and every one of you in this training today, and it'll call you all into this meeting. And then we'll all be on a group chat together. The other thing that you can do, let me get out of here. Come back up to chat, start a new one. Okay, this is a new one here. And then I can enter a bunch of names here. So I'm just going to grab some names. Connie, there you are. Not picking on anybody, just grabbing names. Okay. And then when I start this chat, it's going to talk to both of you guys. And then I can, from within this chat, just like I showed you in my group thing, I can hit this call button and call you all. And it'll make a big meeting for all of us. When you're on a call with somebody, again, it shows that basic meeting window. So it's easy to do like a three-way call because you can just go to the participants part and just call another person. They can pop right into it. Super seamless. More questions for me? Okay. Got one more section to cover, and that is the collaboration piece. Okay, so store, share, and collaborate on files. Gave you guys a small snippet of it earlier when we were talking about the files within your teams and channels. I'm going to show you again. Teams will hold all of your files. So if you know you work on something a lot, especially with the group, this is just another place that you can house it, right? We all have our shared drives, right? The network drives. Teams allows you to store it on the cloud. So it's super neat because if you're connected, then you can access that file and you don't have to be on your network drive. Okay. This is a great feature for if you're doing peer review. Okay. If you are collaborating on, let's say, a flyer or something that's going to go out to DCA all, that's all your team has input, you can splash it up on Teams and everybody can get in there and kind of, work on it in real time. That way you're not passing this file back and forth a million times. So a couple of things that you can do within here, guys. Oh, my team's back up. Now, when you say confidential materials, if you have a confidential file up in there, yes, you can upload it to a private Teams channel. Only the members that are part of that private Teams channel are going to be able to access it. But if it's a file that only for your eyes only, then I wouldn't recommend putting it into Teams. So the Files tab is down here, right here, right? all your files. These are my recent files. Click on here, and this is all my files that are housed within my Microsoft team, which is DCA Solid, right? This is everything that we work on, that we've uploaded there. Now, when you go to work on a file, there's several things you can do. Okay, click on it. You can open it up here in Teams, and it will open it up. And then I can edit here. With editing, I can click down here, and I can determine if I want it to just be a view only, but not make any changes. That way, if I actually bump something on my keyboard, it doesn't like blow up the file or whatnot. Or if I want to make changes to it, I can edit it. Again, it saves automatically. So if you mess something up or you make a mistake, go ahead and smash that undo button to make sure you get back to the basics. Some other things that you can do is that you can open this in a browser, which then opens it in like that Office 365 type of setting, or you can download this to your computer and then you can open it up on your computer using Excel. And close, just go ahead and close. Now, looking at a report, you come over here to the ellipsis and you can choose how you want to open it. Okay. So again, there's the browser, the Office 365 version. I can choose to open this in Excel on my desktop. Okay, so for me, this is my option I like to use because I'm most familiar with that kind of look, and I don't have all of the Teams bar that takes up space on my computer screen. So I can edit it there. If it's just a quick edit, then I'll go ahead and edit it in Teams, and then again, it brings me back here, and then I can make my changes real quick for everybody. Again, like I said earlier, my entire team can get in on this file. And essentially what'll happen is that if more of my teammates open this file at the same time and choose to edit in Teams, you will see all of our cursors here. And like if I just want to make a change to this name or somebody makes a change to it, it'll update in real time for all of us. So if you've ever used what's that thing? Track changes on Microsoft Word, right? And you make a bunch of changes, or I'm sorry, you write a report, you send it to somebody, and they have all these changes and they're highlighted in purple, and then you got to choose to keep, and gone. Do away with that. Go ahead and open it up in Teams, right? We should open up this agenda and don't track my changes. Just tell me what you want to change, and better yet, go ahead and make it yourself so I can see it, and then if we agree on it, we'll just go ahead and let it save and hit close. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing when it comes to the actual like real-time collaboration. It really, really is. And that's pretty much it about files. Again, one of the things you can do is if you want to access specific files, you can come over here to your team's channel, and then you can have those files, and it kind of gives you a little bit more separation in them as well. And then if I want to go to like planning, see what their files are, come here. They have their files as well if I want to help them. The mentorship program, again, as well. Okay. And then this is where you get to upload files. I'm coming back to the training team. So if you look over here, you have create a new file or folder, then upload. When you upload, it just creates a wizard. Browse my computer, throw something up there. Okay. And then again, I can download. Select it, and then I can download it to my computer if I need it. Now, a couple of recommendations I'll share with you guys from just my experience in working with files. One of the nice things that we did when I was doing contact tracing is that we had a schedule of who was in office on and their times and everything. And so it was nice for us to be able to track when people were out of office. I created that schedule. And one of the things I recommend when you're creating something, always save like your base template on your computer or on your network drive, and then upload it as well, just in case someone gets in there and accidentally destroys everything. You can just kill that file, delete it, and then re-upload, the clean one and start from scratch. And now what happens sometimes is that if you're making an Excel file and you use a lot of formulas or whatnot, sometimes when you're editing it, you might accidentally delete the formula, and then it kind of it it kind of changes the functionality of the Excel file as a whole, especially if you're trying to track something and track totals and whatnot. So when that happens, if it's hard to find where that happened, you can go ahead and download that particular file so that you have a record of the updates you need to make, and then go back to your original template, put the updates in there, and then re-upload it. And send a message out that says, hey, make sure when you're entering numbers, you just enter them into the main fields. You don't have to edit the function or anything. The totals will be calculated for you. So that's just a recommendation I have. And that's just, it's just standard practice of backing up something. The thing to keep in mind when you do access files in Teams, like I said, any change you make it's going to kind of save it as you go through, so that it doesn't do like a big save as at the end, like the standalone applications do, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. When you're closing it out, it doesn't do a would you like to save this as save all your changes. Those changes have been saved. So if you're accidentally dragging your elbow across the keyboard and you changed everything in the field, it's going to be in there and it's going to be saved. So just, be careful and be purposeful when you're editing your files within Teams. Okay. Questions on files before I move forward? All righty, guys. So close out with just a brief note about devices. I mentioned this earlier, but I just want to reiterate for you guys, just to kind of encourage you to take this and spread it out across your devices. This just makes your work life a little bit easier, especially if you're working remotely. It's available for use on a variety of devices. It's going to look the same wherever you access it from. Okay, so if you put Microsoft Teams on your telephone, then when a call comes in, it's going to look exactly the same as it would look on your computer. And that's just like a super cool thing that, in my opinion, it's a super cool thing. It makes things super useful. I like to have Teams open on my phone because if something urgent comes in while I'm on, let's say, my lunch break, because my work office, my home office is upstairs, my kitchen's downstairs. So from downstairs fixing me a little snack and a call comes in, I can still take that call. Okay. And I don't have to dash upstairs and, risk falling back down the stairs because I'm in a hurry to get it on my computer, or I don't have to turn up the volume or anything super loud. It's just going to buzz in my phone like a normal call coming into my cell phone. All right. So, a little bit of homework for you after this course. Go download that Teams app, put it on your favorite devices that you might want to use in conjunction with your work PC. If you don't, it's totally fine. You don't have to. It's not mandatory. I just find that it's helpful. Just a little bit more homework for you guys. Explore Microsoft Teams. Okay. The best practice to learn Teams further is just to play around with it. So this is what I'd like you guys to do today or tomorrow or someday. Review your profile settings, set them up, send 3 chats, try out a graphic file, or just send a quick hello. Okay. Make your next meeting a Microsoft Teams meeting, and engage your work group to utilize a team in channels. Cool thing about Teams is that you can't break it, and it is quite user friendly. So quick question, what security is needed on the phone to safely use the Teams app? I'm going to go ahead and stop